Welcome to Our Next Existence by Katie and the Chorus. I'm Katie, former technology strategist turned reluctant spiritual medium, and I channel messages from the Chorus, a group of beings just beyond our sensory perceptions who are loving, expansive, and who greatly enjoy sharing their perspective of us. Join us each week as we share and discuss their ideas about humanity's existence, purpose, and future. Concepts you can draw from to accelerate your path, expand your perceptions, and ultimately step into the flow of the universe and your life. Welcome back, everybody. I know for some of you, the last episode was probably just a few moments to maybe days or weeks ago, depending on how quickly you're moving through the seasons. For me, as I sit here right now, I recorded that last episode several months ago. And so much has happened in the interim that it honestly feels like years have passed. I think we all have these moments or phases of our lives that feel accelerated. And the Chorus has often told me the reason for that sensation is the amount of energy that's kind of packed into them. Our perception of energy relates to our definitions of linear time, or that's the way that we see it, as we spoke about all through this second season. And so when we come into an era where there's just seems to be days that feel like years, moments that feel like decades, it's because there is a lot of new energy coming through in a period of time that previously or at other moments in our lives would not encompass that much energy. I feel like in the last 6 or 8 months, I've lived a decade. And I know from speaking with other spiritual friends who have started to feel into or to experience this sort of fluid time, different sensations of time, that they often feel this way too. I'm actually kind of heartened by the fact that a lot of people have described feeling this to me through COVID. In fact, it was kind of a joke for a while in my neighborhood among other families and friends who didn't know anything about channeling or aliens or any of these topics. And they would joke, oh, it's COVID time. I can't remember when that was. I'd kind of smile because I knew what it represented. I knew that it represented for even the most unawakened human, as some people would say, the most 5 senses human, as maybe the Chorus would say, the most normie, as other friends would say. I knew that that person was even still then conscious of a shift in the experience of time. So what does it mean if we're all feeling it? What does it mean if even people who you might consider to be completely asleep or unaware of these things are the last people on earth to download a podcast like this? What does it mean when they are also having experiences of fluid time? They may not have our words. They may not have other names for other civilizations or understandings of all the many conspiracy theories out there today, but it's still happening to them. I think to some civilizations, this change represents something extremely disruptive. Humanity as a whole is shifting the game board because we are shifting the way that we play the game. And that ripple rolls out from us into all of our neighboring civilizations, realms, planets, eras, however you want to define it. And there are some who would rather not experience that change, who are potentially threatened by that change. Sounds practically human, doesn't it? How many times have we come up against changes in our life and have been very resistant to them, afraid of them, preventing them, avoiding them? And then ultimately, we do often somehow get brought face to face with that change, and we have to go through it, and we are transformed by it. There are other civilizations who do not want to transform for all of their many reasons and all of their many beliefs and their context, which I know nothing about from this conscious perspective. Barely aware of my own conscious perspective. But I can understand the idea of being resistant to change and perhaps threatened by it. What about all the other civilizations, the ones who are cheering on this change in humanity? What do they think they are getting from it? Why are they cheering it on? Have they even questioned themselves as to that? What is it in their context, in their system of beliefs that tells them that this is a good thing? And aren't we all just belief holders experiencing different aspects of these energetic structures that the chorus says we built for the fun of it, for the expansion of it? It is, as usual, both and all things. We are each very different from each other. Our histories, our stories, our capabilities, our understandings, the ways we perceive reality are all vast and varied. And also, we're kind of just all in this playing field together. When we left off on the last episode, I believe I described my experience with black helicopters. Now, at that time, I had no idea that that was a thing. Apparently, it's a very well-known thing to all sorts of people in conspiracy circles, and there are many people who have reported being followed by black helicopters, seeing them in the sky at key moments. There are some who even claim to know what the black helicopters are and only are and what they represent. I didn't have any of that knowledge. But after I finished the last episode, I moved into a period of time that was jam-packed with new energy. And I came into contact with more ideas, more perspectives, more civilizations, and more experiences than I have ever done in a handful of months before in my conscious remembered life. And somewhere early into it, I thought I must have made a wrong turn. Because for so many years, I just channeled the chorus, felt their love, struggled being a human, rinse, repeat. I thought that's what it was. I thought that's what awakening was. I thought that's what transcendence was. I don't know. I thought that's how I figured out how to be a more loving person or just in a more loving place most days. I thought that's all that was missing. And then I head out into all of these adventures, which you'll hear about in next season. And, well, not all of it is what we would call positive. Pleasant, enjoyable, delightfully surprising. Some of it was very dark. Some of it was traumatizing. Some of it was very scary. And almost all of it felt deeply out of my control. And not only that, but my life went through swift and sudden changes on the 3D level too, on the normal day-to-day life. All those things that started when we moved across country seemed to just continue rolling into other areas of my life. My personal relationships, my family, my finances, everything got tossed around. And amidst all that, I was face to face with the question of whether or not all of these changes were good. Was I glad to know that there are dark things in our world and to have them showing up in my house? Was it making me stronger somehow that I was experiencing attacks, terrorizing experiences? I didn't know. Now, you're probably wondering what I wondered, which is, well, what did the chorus have to say about all this? I mean, I had a direct connection to the chorus. Shouldn't I have been able to sidestep some of the drama instead of just, face planting into it completely blind as a human would? Well, as you can probably guess, the chorus thought this was all unfolding amazingly. Their faith, their ability to see the beauty in everything we create never wavered for a second. And I was put into a place of awe all over again about them. How did they do it? What was it that they saw that allowed them to feel that allowing and loving, even through things that I felt were terrible? And I found myself in that in-between place yet again of and both. Yes, these things are terrible. And they are also incredible experiences. And we are gaining a lot by them. It was a whole new round of accept my human perspective, of allow it to be awful, of get to know it, slowly allow my curiosity to show up about it. And the days that I wasn't curious about it and I wanted it all to stop, I needed to let those be true too. And just when I thought it was the darkest of dark and I had seriously made a wrong turn and I couldn't understand how I would ever get back to that path I had been on towards lighter things, or maybe I just had to go through this tunnel, just come out the other side of it. Doesn't kill you, makes you stronger, stuff like that, right? I was just going to fight my way through it, come out the other side somehow. And just when it seemed like I couldn't do it, I went into an even deeper part of the tunnel, which every human listening to this will completely understand. Just when it gets super hard and super dark and maybe there's a finish line, the finish line moves out another 100 yards, just one more time. And that's exactly what happened. But this time, finally, I was able to go through some of the very, very, very challenging experiences, very, very, very aware. Took me years to do that the first time with the chorus. Took me a couple of years to do that with the Federation and extraterrestrials and getting introduced to a new energy, right? And first we're sort of struck by it or dazzled by it or terrified by it. Eventually we acclimate. Eventually we start to wonder. Eventually we ask questions. And eventually we come to our own perspective on it. It is the process of integration, as a human knows it to be. So here I was, face to face with these dark entities, as we might call them, watching myself go through a very similar process to them as I had done with the chorus. The experiences could not have been more different. In fact, by some views, they would have been polar opposites. And yet, each time I came back to my human perspective, I felt something very similar happen. A question of what does it mean to me? Which often, honestly, just comes up as nonstop mental churning. Just can't stop thinking about it. All hours of the night and of the day, you don't get sleep and, it all gets thrown out of whack. But somehow you build the structures of what you believe. And then you stand on top of that new level. Amazing, isn't it? I think when we step out on this road, we try to evaluate so much. What are we talking to? Is it good? Is it bad? Is this going to be helpful? Should we avoid this? Should we shut it down? And in the end, those details aren't really what it's about. It's kind of just about going out into the universe and experiencing something else and finding out new parts of yourself all over again, or for the first time. How do you feel about that? What do you believe? What do you want? What do you prefer? The Course told me early on in these encounters that I was stronger than I thought I was. And moreover, that I would not be having these encounters if I wasn't already at the level of those frequencies. meaning you don't get put into a new boxing ring unless you are ready for that new boxing ring. It made sense, although I will admit for the first several months, meaning years of these experiences, I did not have their confidence in my abilities. Honestly, it took getting knocked down over and over and over again and surprising myself when I got up. I had to live it. And as you'll find out in the second book, the Book of Human Remembrance, the book on time, living it by the Course's definition is to become conscious of something. They see our experience here in a human body is inextricable to the experience of consciousness expanding. You don't just think about something and become conscious of it. You have to bring it all the way down, all the way through your bones, all the way through every part of what you are, what we are here, which is physical by our definition. You got to live it. And sometimes then that means being punched in the face, walking through the fire and actually getting burned, going into a situation, having your heart truly broken, having your beliefs literally blasted out of the water. We don't just get to imagine a situation like that and have the same culmination of energetic expansion, which is what we call becoming conscious of something. As the months pass, I did start to agree with the Course. Maybe I wasn't strong enough yet to be the stronger boxer in the ring, but these things didn't knock me out completely, didn't knock me out of the game, out of life, out of being able to live life also as a human. I mean, it's kind of weird to have these experiences and then still get up the next morning and drop off your kid at school and do the things. But I did. I watched myself do them. And with each round in the ring, memories started to come back to. It's not to say that it was not my first round in that ring. It's rather when you get punched in the face and you get knocked to the ground and you start to go through that process of picking yourself back up again. So you're sort of midway in the conscious experience, maybe we'll say, is one way to look at it. Then as I realized more parts of me that were there that helped me to stand up again, I remembered other times and places where I had experienced those parts before, or simultaneously, depending on how you look at it. It became a vaster view of what I was. It sometimes felt too big to put my arms around. And other times it felt like strength. I was vaster. I was stronger. I had done this before. I knew what this was. I understood this once. I had a capability. Words and phrases like that expressed a resiliency that reached beyond the five senses world into the energetic world. I knew how to bounce back there too. And with each time I bounced back, I found that sweet sensation of curiosity and ease. Curiosity and ease both being versions of love in our reality. When you can be openly curious about something, you are allowing of all aspects of its nature. And I'd stand up again and I'd wonder, how'd they do that? Why did they do that? What's their world like? You know, I recently had a channeled conversation with a friend where she was actually channeling. And the beings she brought through were sort of like, we don't really play in the playground like you do. Kind of above it all. We don't get dirty in these back alley brawls that you humans do. And, I understood their perspective, but I also got like a little offended, like, who are you calling an alley fighter? Like, it triggered me. And I found an interesting response within me, which was like, yeah, I know I should be like that too. I should not get into these fistfights in the alley. The fistfights that, a few months ago I didn't even know existed, but now show up in my room in the middle of the night. Those ones, yeah, I already felt shame and wanted very badly to feel like I wanted to not have these experiences and be quote unquote above them, let's say. And I sat with that for a minute. Now, more able than ever to just watch as these things come up within me. And a chapter from the second book actually came back into my awareness where we talk about preference. And the episode here in season 2, I was like, son of a gun. My preference is to be with this and to understand it. I wish there's this part of me that wishes I could just, rise up to their levels and just not engage in the fight, just be neutral, loving of all things, right? How many times have I been there through this process? And then I sat with that. I was like, nope. There's a part of me that wants this. There's a part of me that wants to understand them, that is now super curious about what this is, that is kind of amazed that I have gotten back up again this many times, and I want to understand that more too. And then I kind of remembered all these times that I've heard people talk about transcendence. And they're like, yeah, we're going to go to this amazing place where everything's taken care of and there's no more war and we're all at peace. And do you know there has been a little voice inside of me that's like, yeah, but we get to punch something on our way out, right? Am I a warmonger? I don't know. But I have come far enough in this path to know that when something's inside of me, I let it be true. I open to what it has to show me, to teach me, to bring to my consciousness, to help in my expansion. I trust what's inside of me now more than ever. And if you've listened to the course, you know that by their view, trust is a measure of time. It's not about institutions or entities or places where we put our trust. Trust is simply a sensation of having enough time or not having enough time for it all to work out. Hundreds or even thousands of years from now, will all of these wars have worked out? Can we feel that possibility when we kick it that far down the road? Yeah, maybe, we say. If I say it's all going to work out tomorrow, do you feel the same sense? Trust is a measure of time. And the more time that we give ourselves, the more trust we feel. And the more trust that we feel for ourselves, the more time will appear, or said another way, the more energy, the more newness, the more solutions, the more incredible manifestations will flow into the same amount of time. When you trust yourself, when we trust ourselves, we're going to be amazed how much happens in a single day. We might be amazed to find that we start to feel a sense of timelessness in which we can move around to all sorts of places, have all sorts of possibilities. The aging process softens. Years stretch out in ways that feel freeing and full of choice. And time moves from being the name of a day or a month or a year to an energetic structure that helps define possibility, one that we can work with directly and mold to our desires. This episode is a milestone for me. Almost 3 years ago, I decided I would start the podcast and sort of just try it. Do a few episodes, see how it felt. Someone asked me how many episodes I would need to record, and I said, without even thinking about it, 50. To which the person replied, 50? Just to try it out? I thought, yeah, that is kind of funny. Why did I think 50 was the right number? And then, of course, I reasoned that, well, an episode a week and blah, blah, blah. It's like a year of podcasting. Sure, whatever. I could never have imagined everything that would be packed into these 50 episodes. But the more I've come around to everything that's happened, everything that you'll learn about in the second book, and everything I know we're going to be talking about in season 3, the more somehow this episode number 50 feels right on time. And so with that, I'd like to bring through the chorus so that they can share with you their love, their thrill over everything you're doing right now and in all moments in time. Until next we meet again, I give you the chorus. Dearest treasures of our hearts, beloved expressions of creation, unique anomalies unto the universe, how much we love you. It has been our joy and our delight to be able to partake in these experiences that you have created here by way of our energetic connection to you. As your hearts have opened, as you have become aware of these frequencies, you have met us here. And we have been overjoyed by your expressions, by your expansions, by all that you are realizing about your paths, by all that you are becoming, by all the excitement that you are manifesting in your days on these frequencies and in many others. You are, by some views, belief itself. The forefathers and mothers of possibility and of creation. By our view and many others, you are also much more beyond these expressions of what we view to be physicality, beyond these belief systems and all their many manifestations. You are and will be and will continue to understand your existences in new and different ways. Though at times we understand that it may seem like it is all ending, it is in fact just beginning. It is a change, it is a shift, but an expansive one, into which we know you will manifest, create extraordinary things. Rendezvous, creations, inventions, understandings, adventures. Though from certain perspectives, it could look like it is being siphoned down into a more specific kind of existence, and we understand and honor this perspective. From another view, it is that you are coming into yourselves more fully. You are expressing even more of yourselves through what you call your bodies, through the unified field of the mind-body perception. You are becoming more human. You are becoming more of an instrument, an experience in these realities. It is not deficiency. It is not a place into which you have strayed by accident or have somehow missed a turn. It is that you are awakening into the diversity and the vastness of the universe. And we would point out one does not awaken into those next realms, those next fields of existence, without also being resonant there. You are of these energies and these possibilities as much as any other. You can create here as much as any other. And the more you honor and engage with your own perspectives, you will find that they flourish all around you into creations and connections that will dazzle you and others. You are becoming more of what you are. By some views, your realities will change. And by other views, that is because it is you who are changing and expanding. And it is our delight to bear witness to this unfolding, to celebrate all your changes and everything that they will bring to bear. We are with you through this and every expansion because we love you infinitely. Thank you so much for listening this season. We hope you enjoyed these messages. May they accelerate you on your path wherever you'd like it to go. If you are listening to this episode, it means that Book 2, the Book of Human Remembrance, is now available in audiobook, ebook, and paperback. Check out Amazon and most other retailers or visit our website at katieandthechorus.com for more information. Thanks again. See you next time.